And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, we're going to do our NBA recap and talk about the games that went down yesterday. So let's go right ahead and dive right in because it is going to be a little bit of a longer segment than the rest of them, given how there were so many games that ended up happening. So I ended up getting this prediction wrong. Atlanta Hawks, they ended up beating the New York Knicks. And in all thanks to Zachary Risacher's ridiculous performance, 33 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Of course, when I say that Zachary Risacher and Alexander Czar aren't playing well, of course, Zachary just has a monster of a game with 33 points, was the leading scorer for the Atlanta Hawks in this matchup. Trae Young ended with 23 points along with 10 assists. I mean, he always gets 10 assists. And he did shoot 7 for 21 from the field, which is not all that efficient. But again, 23 points is 23 points. And Jalen Johnson, he also scored 23 points, 10 for 18 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. Dyson Daniels did not play well in this matchup, only 6 points with 3 for 16 from the field. So just imagine how much more they could have won by had he shot a little bit more efficiently. Now, on the Knicks side, Jalen Brunson ended with his 21 points. He did go 8 for 18. Karl-Anthony Towns scored 34 in this matchup with 11 for 23 from the field and 5 for 9 from 3. Very efficient. It just wasn't enough to beat the Atlanta Hawks tonight. OG Anunoby, 5 for 13 with 15 points. The Knicks as a team shot 46% from 3, which was really, really good, compared to the Hawks who shot 39% from 3. And really the big difference just came in the fact that the Hawks ended up getting way more possessions than the Knicks in this game. They had 100 possessions compared to the Knicks who only had 84 possessions. And it's kind of difficult to beat a team that's ultimately taking way more shots than you are because, like, while they might be taking more shots, that would mean that more shots are going to have a better chance of falling. Like, that's just how it works. And so I got this game wrong. Another game that I got wrong was the Celtics beating the Warriors. They ended up losing, mainly because they did not have Jaylen Brown in this matchup. They did have Jason Tatum, Derek White, and Drew Holiday. But again, this Boston Celtics team is not healthy yet, especially since Kristaps has not played a game yet. So, but aside from that, Tatum scored 32 points. Derek White scored 26 points. Drew Holiday did not play well in terms of the points production. He did get 9 rebounds and 8 assists, but again, the scoring from Drew Holiday, they really needed a lot more out of him. He went 3 for 11 from the field and 0 for 6 from 3. And Jason Tatum shot 50% from the field overall. Just an incredible performance from Tatum, but again, it just clearly wasn't enough. If they had Jaylen Brown in this matchup, I really think that they would have ended up beating the Warriors, but again, Steph Curry is just, the owner of the Boston Celtics, it seems like. He dropped 27 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, along with 4 steals. Shot 4 for 9 from 3, 8 for 17 from the field. Buddy Hield just steps in, says, I'm Klay Thompson, goes 6 for 11, and goes 4 for 7 from 3. And Andrew Wiggins, 6 for 14 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. But again, just a solid performance overall coming in from the Warriors. But again, the Celtics were rather short-handed. So, in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense why they ended up losing in this matchup because it's not the same team. I mean, not having Kristaps and not having Jaylen Brown is a big problem for the Celtics. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, especially you guys who don't like Tatum. How much help does Tatum need to beat the Warriors? Well, it seems like the Warriors are a pretty solid team this year. And if you don't have a healthy team and you're expected production coming in from other players, and with Drew Holiday playing the way that he's played, you're not going to get that production from him. I really feel like if they had Jaylen Brown, they would have ended up winning this game. Same thing has to be said with the next game that I got wrong, which was the Lakers matching up against the Memphis Grizzlies. I thought Anthony Davis was going to play in this game. He did say in a post-game interview, when LeBron was having the post-game interview, he screamed, "I'm not out," and he told it to reporters. He ended up being out. Of course he did. And the Lakers, of course, ended up losing, despite the fact that LeBron finished the game with 39 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. He scored as many points as how old he is. He shot 15 for 24 from the field, 6 for 11 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. He was on a different level. It makes no sense how a guy who's 39 years old scores as many points as his age. And the rest of the team, of course, completely underperformed. Austin Reeves has been so inefficient, it's bad. 7 for 17 from the field, 2 of 9 from 3. D'Angelo Russell, also inefficient, 4 for 12 with 12 points and 2 for 9 from 3. And everyone else was just mediocre. Dalton Knecht, 1 for 7 from the field with only 3 points. Less than mediocre. Cam Reddish was all right, 5 for 7 from the field, 15 points. But again, without Anthony Davis, they were basically going to lose regardless. And I didn't expect Anthony Davis to be out, and I expected him to be in. And I think if he was in, they would have ended up winning this game, despite the fact that they lost 131 to 114. Jaren Jackson Jr., 20 points. Santi Aldama, 11 points and 12 rebounds. Ja Morant, 20 points, 5 assists. And Jalen Wells, 20 points as well. And, excuse me, Jaren Jackson Jr., 8 for 13, Ja Morant, 7 for 17, and Jalen Wells, 7 for 10. And again, this team shot 50% from the three-point line. That's a very difficult team to beat when you're shooting like that from three. And not having Anthony Davis definitely doesn't help matters either. Next game, the Mavericks, they ended up beating the Bulls. I expected this to happen. The Bulls are just not a competent team. The Mavericks also ended up playing at home. They won 119-99. Luka Doncic, 27 points, 13 assists, 7 rebounds. Kyrie Irving, 17 points. Klay Thompson, 13 points. And Daniel Gafford ended with 17 points to go along with that. 7 for 9 from the field as well. Kyrie Irving shot 7 for 11, incredibly efficient. Klay Thompson, 5 for 10 from the field. Again, rather efficient. Not that efficient from 3 for 7, but regardless, 5 for 10, that's 50%. And on the Bulls side, nobody played all that well. The leading scorer was Vucevic with 14 points, and that really says all you need to know. 7 for 10 from the field. Again, all you need to know. Now, the next game that I do want to talk about is the Kings going up against the Raptors. And the reason why I want to bring up this game is because Sabonis became the first player to record a triple-double without a missed shot and without a turnover. 17 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, 6 for 6 from the field, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. Again, first player ever to have a flawless triple-double in an NBA game, which is absolutely incredible in my opinion. Again, no one has ever done this before. So, super efficient, incredible player. If he's not an all-star this season, there is a problem. DeMar DeRozan, 27 points, 11 for 21 from the field. Keegan Murray, 22 points, 9 for 17 from the field. De'Aaron Fox, 21 points, 5 for 17 from the field. But it should also be noted that Keegan Murray ended with 12 rebounds to go along with that. So again, solid performance coming in from the Kings and their starters. This was sort of the start that I expected the Kings to have. And of course, the Raptors, they haven't really been all that impressive, especially without their best player, Scotty Barnes. RJ Barrett, he played pretty solid, 23 points. Grady Dick, who I expect to be the most improved player of the year, he's averaging 20 points per game, but in this game he only scored 7, so not really that good of a performance, 3 for 10 from the field from him. And then there's also Davion Mitchell, who went 8 for 11 with 20 points. But again, just wasn't enough to combat against the Sacramento Kings, especially with the Kings and their lack of three-point attempts, which was, in my opinion, was going to be a little bit of a problem, especially since they shot 28% from three. But aside from that, they were just fine in this matchup because the Raptors, they shot 29% from three. So again, cancels out. Next, the Hornets, they ended up beating the Pistons. I expected this outcome to happen. The Hornets ended up winning 108-107 on a game-winning tip-in coming in from, I believe it was Bridges. I didn't watch the game, so I can't really tell you, but let me go ahead and look at the play-by-play. Let me see. No, it was Brandon Miller who made the putback. Excuse me. I thought it was Bridges because, Bridges is just, he tends to get a lot of putbacks in these games. And Bridges, he did end the game with 27 points. LaMelo Ball ended with 25 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, along with 2 steals. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think LaMelo Ball is better than Anthony Edwards. He did shoot 10 for 23 from the field, which is not all that efficient, but again, 25 points is 25 points. Now, on the Pistons side, Cade Cunningham, another triple-double, another loss, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. Jaden Ivey, 21 points, and really that was basically all the production coming in from the Detroit Pistons. They could have won this game, but again, it was a last-second tip-in that ultimately gave the Hornets the lead. It was a really solid way to end the game. Again, it was close, but you win by a mile, you win by an inch, doesn't matter, you win. Now, Pacers, they ended up matching up against the Magic. As I expected, the Pacers, they ended up beating the Magic. The game was much closer than what I thought, though. It was 118 to 111. This is what happens when you have a team that doesn't really play defense with the Pacers, right? And Franz Wagner, he ended the game with 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. And the rest of the players, they did play solid. Jalen Suggs with 15 points. Goga Badadzi, forgive me if I messed up that last name, 10 points along with 12 rebounds. But the Pacers, their offense was just way too good. Benedict Mathurin, 20 points, 11 rebounds. Miles Turner, 17 points, 10 rebounds. Tyrese Halliburton, 17 points, 4 assists. And really, the team was just better. Like, that's really all the team was just better than them. And they shot way better from three than them as well, even though this game was still rather close. I mean, the Pacers shot 46% compared to the Magic's 28%. And they also shot a lot better from the field. It was surprisingly a close game, but again, the Magic, they ended up taking way more shots than the Pacers. So, next game, the Houston Rockets, they ended up beating the Spurs in a blowout win, 127 to 100. Victor, only 15 points and 6 rebounds along with 3 blocks. Chris Paul, 10 points and 4 assists. One of my friends thought that Chris Paul was going to be the most improved player of the year. That's definitely not happening with the way that he's playing right now. And really the rest of the Spurs and how they've been playing, again, it's not ideal. I expect a lot more efficiency coming in from Victor, but he's only shot 1 for 6 from 3 in that game. And just looking at his stats and his efficiency, he's only averaging a 47% effective field goal, which is not that, again, it's not that great. Like, it's really not all that solid. And just trying to go ahead and look at the field goal percentage, he is shooting 46% from the field. Actually, no, he's shooting 42% from the field, which is worse than what it was last year. And he's only shooting 21% from three, which is way worse than what he was shooting last year. So, again, the season is still young, but I do expect a lot more production coming in from Victor, and I do expect him to live up to the hype, so what gives? Next, for the Houston Rockets, 21 points and 10 assists coming in from Fred VanVleet, 21 points from Jalen Green, 16, 5, and 4 from Alperen Sengun, and really, like, the team just played a lot more efficiently than the Spurs did in this night, despite the fact that the Houston Rockets only made 10 three-pointers and shot 37% from three. They shot way better than the Spurs did in the field, 56% compared to 44%. Next, the Cavs. As I mentioned before, the Cavs are the only flawless team in the NBA right now. They won 131 to 122 against the Pelicans. Donovan Mitchell ended with 29 points. Jarrett Allen ended with 16 and 14. Garland ended with 14 and 9. Evan Mobley with 15 and 9 as well. And Karis LeVert coming off the bench ended with 16 points. Again, this is just a classic Donovan Mitchell performance. 10 for 20 from the field, 50%. 3 for 9 from 3, but again, 29 points is 29 points. Excuse me. The Pelicans, they had Zion in this matchup. He did end the game with 29 points and 9 for 18 from the field. They also had a good production from Jose Alvarado, 27 points, 10 for 14 from the field. Brandon Ingram got 20 points on 20 shots. But really, this team is just not at full strength yet. And going up against the Cavs, who are at full strength, not ideal. The Denver Nuggets, 124 to 122 was the final score. They ended up winning by just 2 points, snapping the Thunder's winning streak. Michael Porter Jr., 24 points. Nikola Jokic, 23 points, 20 rebounds, 16 assists. Russell Westbrook, 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. It should be noted that the Denver Nuggets are 3-0 when Russell Westbrook starts, by the way. So that's a really good sign for Denver, especially seeing as now they're not going to have Jamal and Aaron for a couple of games. But again, this is a very solid performance coming in from Russ and Jokic and everyone else along with that. Chet, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Jalen Williams, 29 points, 10 rebounds. SGA, 28 points, and 6 assists along with that as well. So it was a really close game. Can't really blame the OKC for losing that one when Russell Westbrook is playing like that. Next, the Heat, they lost to the Suns. 115 to 112 was the final score. Nurkic, he ended with 20 points and 18 rebounds. KD ended with 32 points. Devin Booker ended with 22 points. Bradley Beal only ended with 7. Grayson Allen has not been all that efficient at all this year. He shot 12. He had 12 points, 3 for 10 from the field. Devin Booker 9 for 17. Kevin Durant 13 for 23. And Nurkic was by far the most efficient player on the team with 6 for 8 from the field. And Bradley Beal 3 of 9 from the field. Not all that ideal. But again, a win is a win for this team. And looking at the Heat and their matchup, Tyler Hero played really, really well. 28 points, 6 assists. Bam Adebayo, 12 points, 12 rebounds. Jimmy Butler was very quiet in this matchup with only 15 points, 6 for 13 from the field. And that was that. Clippers, they ended up beating the 76ers. I don't know if you guys know this, but Paul George used to play for them, by the way. Paul George, he was probably the most efficient player for the entire 76ers. 7 for 9 from the field, but again, it just wasn't enough against the Clippers. Kelly Oubre Jr., 8 for 12, 18 points. On the Clippers side, Norman Powell has been incredible, 26 points along with 6 assists. Harden, 18 points, 3 steals, 6 assists. And everybody else, they played really well against the 76ers. Of course, they don't have Joel Embiid, so it makes total sense. And that was all of the games. That's the recap. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the final segment, which is giving my predictions for these games. This segment is going to be very short just because we are low on time. So I'll be right back after this short break. So be sure to stay tuned.